So I've been seeing a lot of videos lately about people saying that they give up on the American dream. And part of it makes sense to me, but part of it makes me a little sad. I don't disagree with what most people are saying, but I think the conversation right now kind of misses part of the point. Hey, it's your girl Ahsante, helping you move consciously and creatively through life. And let's talk about the American dream. So where a lot of this conversation is centered, and where I agree with a lot of people, is that there shouldn't just be one vision of what the ideal American life should look like. The American dream has often been talked about as having a house with a lawn and a white picket fence and 2.5 kids. And I totally get that that sort of vision is outdated for a lot of people and not everyone wants that. And so rather than having an expectation to keep up with the Joneses or to have certain things or to buy a certain lifestyle, there's a lot of consumerism wrapped up in that. There's a rejecting of that consumerism, a rejecting of that mindset of needing to have a certain lifestyle, and instead pursuing your own vision of an ideal life and your own version of what success looks like. Instead of trying to chase, a suburban lifestyle with these different class markers and things that sort of signify status or promote luxury and convenience, trying to go more with what feels good for you and what feels adventurous if you're an adventurous person. Traveling more, living more of a nomadic lifestyle has been a theme in these videos. And so I definitely get that. I mean, I myself am crafting my own unique creative lifestyle. I've quit my job. I'm trying to do independent consulting and YouTubing and notioning. So I totally get putting together and crafting a life that you really envision yourself. This is also part of celebrating diversity. Not all of us have the same version of what feels best for us. We have different tendencies, different bodies, different needs. And so being able to shape your life around what you need rather than chasing a job that has you clocking in 9 to 5 Monday through Friday, maybe there's a different lifestyle that's going to fit your situation and your needs a lot better. And a lot of us here on YouTube are after just that. We're after a break from that 9 to 5, a break from that traditional success sort of lifestyle and mindset. So it makes sense that we're sort of on this train, but I think there's really a deeper meaning to the American dream besides consumerism and keeping up with the Joneses. What's really appealing about the American dream is that there's upward mobility, everyone has resources that they need in order to thrive. You can come to this country with not very much, and through perseverance and working hard, work your way up, right? And when the American dream was really, prominently talked about in media, it was in the 1950s, right? And this was a time of economic prosperity. There was a growing middle class. This was, after the war. And so the GI Bill allowed for affordable college for a lot more people. Folks who had grown up in the Depression were now able to spend money on those non-essential goods, those middle class, kitchen appliances and cars and whatnot. So yes, there was a lot of consumerism around that, but it's really about agency and being able to now access resources and advance yourself economically. Ideally, you're able to improve your quality of life over time more than, the white picket fence. It's just being able to have a home of your own. Imagine being able to buy a home. Now, there's also a lot of segregation and racism and discrimination codified into law at that time. So I'm not saying it was perfect, but my own family was able to move from poverty into middle class at that point, right? My grandfather went to school on the GI Bill. So this was back when you could expect to do a little better than your parents did economically, which is not necessarily the case now. The middle class is shrinking. A lot of us have more precarious jobs. The gig economy puts people in precarious situations income-wise. Minimum wage hasn't really kept track with inflation. And there are a lot more winner-take-all models in society where success and wealth is concentrated in the hands of a few. So there's a lot more income and wealth inequality, extreme levels. And for millennials, you're even seeing more downward mobility now. This vision that we've been sold and that was glorified, especially in the 50s, is unattainable today. It makes sense for this, visceral reaction to be whatever about the American dream. I'm not going to try to achieve this because it's so hard to accomplish these days. But I don't think that's a reason to totally give up on it. There's a tone that folks are taking that really says, you know what, this isn't attainable, forget it. Ignore, what the world's expectations are and just focus on doing you. But if everyone takes that approach, then we won't be working collectively as we would need to make sure that that dream is eventually attainable again, to make sure that the system starts to work for most Americans. There was a time of real prosperity, and it's not impossible. It feels long ago, but I think we need to hold out hope, and the only way to keep us going forward is to have that vision, is to not let that vision totally go. Because the thing is, some people do want that traditional life, or parts of it. Being a nomad isn't for everyone. I really love decorating my apartment. I think you should be able to look at the options, look at your needs, decide what's best for you, and be able to pursue your own version of happiness. And that's really the crux of the American dream, right? That all men are created equal, other genders as well would be great to have in there, and that we all have fundamental human rights, including the right to life, liberty, and the pursuit of happiness. That's the aspect of the American dream that I don't think we should give up on. In order to really work towards making progress, you do need to acknowledge where the system is broken and flawed. You can't fix something if you don't even see that it's broken, but you also need to have hope that it will eventually get better. That's the only reason why you would put in work and time and effort into making it so. That's part of what was so appealing about Obama's 2004 speech at the Democratic National Convention, which is a speech that really put him on the map. Think what you want about his presidency or his specific politics, that man can give a damn good speech. And part of what made that speech so appealing and what made him appealing across party lines was how he talked about the American dream. He made it personal. He talked about his own journey and the journeys of his parents and connected it to his aspirations for the country, and did so explicitly across party lines in a way that really unites us around this one promise of being able to achieve great things regardless of your social and economic background. It comes down to having an attitude of cynicism versus an attitude of hope. It's important for leaders to have a clear vision of where we should be going. And if we don't have a vision of that, if we don't connect to that personally, then we can't hold our leaders accountable to that kind of vision. Now, of course, we can't get there on hope alone. We also do have to have policies that support that, but people who are motivated and want to go out and support those policies and work within their own sphere of influence. I feel like we each have parts of the system that we can touch, even though fixing the system is way too big for any one person, right? Because it's so complex. But having that hope in mind allows you to see the possibilities where they do exist within your world. So the growing sense that the American dream isn't really achievable right now is good to acknowledge, because we do have to acknowledge that systems of meritocracy and just working hard aren't really functioning, and we need additional support to make sure that people do have the resources they need. You have to acknowledge something's broken before you can fix it, but you don't just toss it out. If you're resourceful, you try to fix it. And that's the note that I feel like is missing from the chorus right now. There's a difference between resigning yourself to your fate and throwing up your hands and holding out hope, reaching, pushing, searching for a better future. And I just hope that in this case, we don't all turn to resignation. If you like this video and you want to hear more from me, then you can subscribe to my email newsletter so that we can stay in touch regardless of the algorithm. That's linked in the description. And if you want to help me to make more videos, then you can support my work on Patreon. As always, remember to live spiritedly and think creatively, and I will see you next time.